Federal government presents discharge certificate to Transcorp. Our interventions boost Nigeria's participation in AFCFTA, says the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN). Plus, Asia markets trade mixed as China's trade surplus beats expectations. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm there, Katung Baba today. Good morning. We'll begin the business of the day by informing you that the National Council on Privatization, chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, has delisted Transcorp Power PLC from the routine evaluation and monitoring of the Bureau of Public Enterprise. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports that the signing of the certificate of discharge took place at the Council's meeting this Monday.
These are members of the National Council on Privatization, led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, gathering here at the conference room of the VP's wing in the presidential villa for their regular monthly meeting. They are being joined by members of the Transcorp Power team. And now to the business of the day, the delisting of Transcorp Power PLC from the routine evaluation and monitoring of the Bureau of Public Enterprise.
Howdy, guests.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo describes this as a very happy occasion.
Power needs of our country are grave, and we strongly believe that the right approach is the privatization of the power sector to enable serious-minded private sector players to invest in power, the provision of public power, and to ensure that they are efficient while they make profit at the same time. And we hope that this will be the first. This will not be the last in the series of private companies that have taken over power plants and are able to meet the expectations of the post-evaluation plans.
The company, as explained by the DG Bureau of Public Enterprise, has achieved an available capacity of 680.8 megawatts, which surpasses the minimum performance target of 670 megawatts.
Having exceeded the minimum performance target and having fulfilled all the agreed obligations, the National Council on Privatization at its meeting of the 4th of April 2023 considered and approved the recommendations of the Bureau and its request that the company, Ughelli Power PLC, be approved for delisting from routine monitoring.
We have operated since 2013, 10 years now, no incident, no health hazard, nothing, and we'll continue to stay that way because we know that in the 21st century, sustainability is key, health is important, safety extremely important.
The Vice President urged the organization to continue in that progressive path and to do even better, and hopes that this will not be the last in the series of private power companies that are taking over power plants.
The Bank of Nigeria (CBN) is playing a critical role to facilitate successful participation of Nigerians in the African Continental Free Trade Area (AFCFTA) agreement. The Apex Bank notes that its interventions in the real sector of the Nigerian economy are targeted at boosting Nigeria's participation in the free market agreement. The CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, says when fully implemented, the AfCFTA will afford Nigerian companies preferential access to African markets worth $504.17 billion in goods and $162 billion in services. The federal government approved the ratification of the AfCFTA agreement in November 2020 and deposited the instrument of ratification on December 15, 2020, thus becoming the 34th state party to ratify the treaty. AfCFTA is projected to benefit the country by creating larger market access, free movement of labor, goods, services, and capital. It is also expected to boost the country's revenue through economic diversification from crude oil to value-added goods and services. And gold closed back on softer dollar, U.S. inflation data on radar. Sudan shares direct land borders with 7 African and Arab countries, and most of them export a number of basic products such as live meat, cereals, and many food products. Markets in South Sudan and Central Africa depend on 70% of food products produced in Sudan, such as sugar, flour, tomato paste, edible oils, while Egyptian markets depend on Sudanese to cover 30 to 60% of their needs in live meat and sesame and certain agricultural products. Well, a Sudan crisis is on the front burner again this morning, and of course the effects of that war between members in Sudan is reverberating in the markets of neighboring countries. And we're being joined via telephone by a member of the Federation of Agriculture Commodity Association of Nigeria, Bello Dogondaji. Mr. Bello, good morning.
Good morning, presenter. How are you over there?
I'm fine, thank you. And I understand you're stuck somewhere in traffic.
Yes, but I'm very close to your office. No problem.
Oh, thank you so much.
We can go on.
Okay. Perhaps you can tell us, let's have an understanding, the trade history between Nigeria and Sudan.
Well, there has been a long trail of history between Nigeria and Sudan, way back before the independence.
Okay.
You recalled, in those days, our pilgrims from Nigeria, they do go by road. By road transport. And it used to be a center in those days. And there has been a lot of trading going on between Nigeria and Sudan many years back.
So, what are the commodities that Nigeria is trading with Sudan?
Well, virtually most of the commodities we produce in Nigeria, they have been produced in Sudan. Most of them. And during those days of trading, there has been exchanges of some of these commodities across the borders in those days. So what, like sesame, we produce sesame here, they produce sesame. We produce so many things we produce, including hibiscus and whatever. They produce them. And their market is usually the countries that border them, especially the Arabs, you know. So we are here. And the commodities, some of the commodities that we identified that we have a comparative advantage over Sudan includes shea butter, shea nuts. I hope you understand shea nuts, shea butter.
Yes, I do.
So, and all the derivatives from the shea butter, it's a very good market for Nigeria. The shea nuts.
Okay, so
and we produce hibiscus, and we trade also in sesame, but they also produce sesame in large quantities too.
So
Yes.
do you see this as an advantage for Nigeria? Because you've pointed out some of these items that we produce here that Sudan also produces. So when we're counting the cost and looking at the effects of the ongoing war in that country, how it's going to be affecting trade between us and Sudan, do you see this as an advantage?
Of course, where we have common markets, they are no longer in market. They are not showing anything now because of the war. So in that instance, Nigeria will take advantage of those markets. Certainly, yes.
How prepared are we to take this advantage?
Well, war does not give adequate notice. Sometimes it just erupts. And I am telling you, we in the commodity industry, we are not too happy about the situation. But you see, the market situation is something else. We are working very hard to see those gaps we could breach.
Do you see this driving up prices?
Yeah, certainly the prices will go up certainly, because once there's a leader who supplies to his customers is no longer supplying, then there will be short in supplies, thereby causing the demand will be very high, and at suppliers' price. So you see, the hike in prices is imminent.
The export volume of live Sudanese red meat to Egypt in particular is estimated at around 200,000 heads per year, in addition to the 4,000 tons of slaughtered meat. Now that is quite a number, if you would agree with me. With this crisis, do you see Egypt meeting their import demand?
Well, certainly there will be gap, because this regular supply will cease to be. Certainly, yes. And let me tell you also, there is a understanding between Nigerian commodities and the Egyptians, and that gap, I'm sure it will be breached. It will be breached certainly from Nigeria. Yes. Because the Egyptians have started looking at Nigeria as a substitute.
So will businesses in the neighboring countries to Sudan that will be affected, which one do you see will feel the impact of this crisis the greatest?
Most of the countries surrounding, neighboring Sudan will feel the impact, sadly. Most of them.
How critical is this impact going to be on the continent, especially as we're looking to and focusing attention on the AFCFTA?
Well, you see, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that which you've all signed for. It is a continent that it means you have a common market within the continent. So each country will have to come up, showcase what it has comparative advantage to the market. So a situation, a country is at war, certainly it will not show her commodities. So those who have similar advantages in the same crops or whatever, then they could take advantage of the market. That is how I see it.
Well, some would say that all is fair in war. So it depends on who is having the advantage. But we are seeing geopolitical tensions across regions in Africa disrupting the supply chains. So for policymakers, what next?
You see, we are going back to the drawing boards to ensure that we fill all the gaps. We are equally equal to the task. Yes.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Dogundaji, for making out time to join us this morning.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
I appreciate your kind understanding by providing an alternative course for our discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. Have a
You're
nice
welcome.
one. Thank you. The federal government says feed, that is animal food, constitutes about 70% of the cost of livestock production in Nigeria. Winnie Lai Solarin, Director, Animal Husbandry Services, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, stated this on the sideline of a training for farmers on utilization of low-grade grain in Abuja. She said the training on low-cost feed production through the use of alternative feed ingredients is essential in increasing their profits, adding it will also reduce the rate of competition between man and animal for conventional feed ingredients, as well as uplift their businesses as feed millers and livestock farmers. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development has presented certificates to 19 universities accredited by the Council of Nigerian Mining Engineers and Geoscientists, COMEC, offering programs in the Nigerian extractive industry profession. Minister of Mines and Steel Development Olamilekan Adegbite notes that the renewed efforts at regulating the training of professionals in the extractive industry being carried out by the federal government has reduced the level of involvement by unprofessionals in the field and appealed to the accredited institutions to be diligent in the training of students.
Was being superintended by somebody from the ministry, director from the ministry, who was fully occupied and did not have time for COMEC. And we set out to correct that. I'm proud to say that you guys are COMEC, you are doing very well.
The exercise will afford the management of such institution the opportunities to retool where necessary and to facilitate procurement of additional teaching aids and laboratory facilities where such are found insufficient.
Oil rose 2 cents as easing U.S. recession fears shifted market focus to tightening supplies, offering support after crude prices registered 3 straight weekly declines for the first time since November. A healthy U.S. jobs report for April helped oil to climb, even though labor market strength could compel the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates higher for longer. Brent crude was up $1.44 at $76.74 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude gained $1.60 to $72.94 a barrel. And the U.S. dollar struggles, pound hits a one-year high. Let's see how the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. And so we take a trip to the global market before we give you updates of opening figures back home here in Nigeria.
Investors are focused on U.S. inflation data due out this week. The Consumer Price Index for April is published Wednesday and the Producer Price Index on Thursday. European markets opened muted Tuesday as the UK financial markets reopened after a public holiday. Asia markets traded mixed on Tuesday. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index tumbled 2%, leading losses in the region. Investors further digested China's trade data that included a fall in imports of 1.4% and a slowed growth in exports of 8.5%. In mainland China, the Shanghai Composite slid 1.1% after marking the highest point in 10 months on Monday, and the Shenzhen Composite also fell 0.9%. US S&P 500 futures are little changed Tuesday morning as investors readied for key inflation reports due later in the week. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 23 points or 0.07%. S&P 500 futures inched down by 0.03%, while Nasdaq futures shed 0.1%. It's a red start for most African markets, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Tunisia's Tunidex, and Namibia's overall index posting negative, while others are still maintaining previous figures. Bosede Ebo, Business Express.
Thank you, Bosede. And back home, of course, it's a delight to inform you that the stock market added 61 billion naira Monday as trading opens this week. And of course, at the end of the session, a total of 511.3 million shares in 5,883 deals were traded, corresponding to a market value of 7.13 billion naira. And this is compared with the previous trading day, that is Friday, the 5th of May. The data is showing a 6% improvement in volume, 27% improvement in turnover, and 11% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 28.6 trillion naira. And of course, the banking stocks have continued to dominate activities, with Access Holdings recording the highest volume at the close of business on Monday of 168 million traded shares, followed by FBN Holdings with 91.3 million and United Bank for Africa UBA 78.1 million. And with those impressive figures, we wrap Business Express for now. Remember to send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Wednesday at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katung Baba, today saying have a lovely day and God bless Nigeria.